Let's have a look at the classes and see what each player is going to be bringing. Rogue banned on both sides. Again, I think it's just you being here. That's what happens when you're here. Rogue just gets banned on both sides. I remember the first week you came, you were like, you know, I'm expecting Rogue to be banned a lot. And every week since, we've seen Rogue banned both times.
I'm sometimes right. I don't want to brag.
You can brag. I'll allow it.
I've been right before.
Yeah. Okay, I'm happy for you.
At least once.
Maybe you'll be wrong. You know what you're wrong about?
What?
Murloc Paladin last series. So there. So TingTing, we think, has Priest, Druid, and Paladin, and Ben, Druid, Warlock, and Priest then. So, again, different kind of game styles, different kind of class styles here. That is the one thing that I know certainly you find interesting about this current meta, is that the bans can shift how you approach a series.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the main players we're seeing still innovate lineup strategy most of all is Mitsuhide. He's playing a lot of open cash cups at the moment, and every single time he seems to have a new strategy. Just the other day he was bringing a lineup where he bans Priest and brings a whole bunch of aggro decks that are teched to beat aggro. And did, I know, it seems like a bit mad, but it did remarkably well with it. He did remarkably well with it. And, you know, just before then, he was kind of pioneering the bring Murloc Paladin, ban Rogue strategy, that kind of thing, which we're seeing here from TingTing, I would imagine, and kind of a similar strategy from BigBen. And looking at this particular lineups in general, I do prefer TingTing's strategy. I think if you are going to go with ban Rogue, Paladin makes more sense, as I've said, because it's weaker against Rogue than Zoo is, and I think it's better against Druid and Priest than Zoo is. But it's still going to be very even, because the Murloc Paladin and the Zoo Warlock, they function fairly similarly.
Yeah, I mean, and I like that people are still bringing the aggressive decks, because when this meta came out, people were like, oh, it's going to be like the biggest control meta ever, and the game's going to take so long. And no, it's still there. Aggro still turns up, and I think it's a very important thing to have in Hearthstone. I think there's been articles written by all sorts of people about why aggro is needed, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Anyway, I don't know how many BigBen puns we're going to have in the upcoming series. I know last time Ben actually liked it. He told me he enjoyed it thoroughly. Good promotion for his name. Yeah. So I'm going to allow at least 3 throughout this entire series. Are we okay with that?
I think I'm happy with that.
Just 3 between us. So like
there's a time and a place for clock puns.
Is that one? That's one already gone. I can't believe you already wasted it already.
Oh my god.
Ben without a webcam, I believe, in the same place as Mysterious, and his webcam's frozen as well. So that's why he's not on webcam. He did try, just to clarify, because we had some controversy last week, Darok. We had a player choose not to use his webcam. Blasphemy. He was punished, don't worry. By me.
With the rod?
Yes. Well, no. I thought you were going to say a ruler or something, like just a slap on the hand. What's
this is the ESL Premiership. We're not boys. We're big men here. We use the rod.
Yep. Yes, we do. Yeah, we'll get... I'll tell you what, just to prove that Ben is bringing his webcam as well, we'll put his freeze frame up.
Okay.
See there?
My name is Ben, and I'm here to say I love these cards in a major way.
Great. I love that. Right, we can put his sexy face back now. Although slightly confused and doesn't really know what's happening. Is my photo being taken? Am I posing?
As if to say, where's my wife? Who are you? Take me home.
Game number 1 of the second series of the night then. Ben versus TingTing. Very important matchup. Winner qualifies for live finals, and we have Murloc Paladin versus Highlander Priest to kick things off. So, a matchup that we just witnessed, right? Or similar to what we've just witnessed in an aggressive Murloc Paladin against a slow old Highlander Priest. But the Highlander Priest can do very well against Murloc Paladin if it can draw those answers early on. But, I mean, some of them are there, and the Holy Smite is there.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting turn, because what I was looking at most of all was you hit in and you heal up, because you want to get the value out of the heal while you can. And if a... if the Rockpool Hunter comes down, you actually have the perfect answer of Wild Pyromancer and Holy Smite. It would kill off both the Hunter and the Tidecaller that we see here after it attacks into the Cleric. So I very, very much like saving back the Holy Smite here, because in the worst case scenario of Rockpool Hunter, you're still in a very good spot with the Wild Pyromancer and Holy Smite.
TingTing just bringing Murlocs on the board and taking away that card draw by killing off the Northshire Cleric. And now Ben can use that Holy Smite just to deal with this second Tidecaller, so it doesn't really matter if he used it or not previously. If he uses it in conjunction with the Wild Pyromancer, he then has something that can test the Inquisitor on board as well, excuse me. That little hiccup caught me by surprise. Yeah, it was a cheeky one.
Cheeky hiccups. What would you play on this turn, Dan? I'm curious, because I think I've formed my opinion of what I'm going to do, what I would do this turn and next turn.
I think I would Holy Smite and then play Pyromancer.
Ah, interesting.
Alternatively, because you've got Power Word Shield, you could just Holy Smite and play Loot Hoarder. But what's the play you've spotted, Dalrock?
I'm thinking I would just go Acolyte of Pain here. This is what I was looking at, because even if it's killed off in one fell swoop by a slightly more buffed up Tidecaller or by the Rallying Blade, you've then got two fantastic spells to combo with the Wild Pyromancer, get a huge board sweep and give yourself a nice clear board going into turn 4 when the Megasaur can come down, and you can start to develop your own minions like Organize Soul Priest, which might be a bit too slow if you were just plopping down your minions like the Wild Pyromancer on previous turns.
And of course, this might be a problem with the old War Leader. However, with the current War Leader, it means that this works very well, and I'm glad that I can choose the mediocre play so that you can look intelligent by pointing out the correct play, Dalrock, all right?
I mean, I think your play would have worked out all right.
No, but I mean, you gave a fantastic explanation as to why. It's okay. I don't mind being wrong. It's not like my opinion doesn't matter or anything.
Your opinion matters a lot to me, Dan.
Good. But it is really important getting this Power Word Shield down. Keep this Wild Pyromancer alive.
Yep. This
silence as well.
Fantastic. You're denying the Murlocs going into the Gentle Megasaur turn, even just going into Blessing of King's turn. There's nothing on the board to buff up. And if you can just use the effect on this Wild Pyromancer over the next couple of turns, that could be really good. And just the fact that it could represent effectively 4 damage by casting a spell and then attacking into the Megasaur, it means TingTing has to play off curve here, going for the Rallying Blade, which means he can't go coin into Spike-Rich Steed on the following turn. This is just perfect use of disruption from Ben.
Look at TingTing having to use the coin as well just to even get something on the board here. Just to try and stay ahead, because realistically, when you're getting to these later turns against Priest and you haven't done any damage, you've got nothing on the board, you're starting to run out of cards, you're not going to find yourself in a great position.
It's tough, because with Paladin, you can find yourself in a really strong spot into the later stages of the game. If you're playing a more slow-paced line of play where you haven't drawn all your Murlocs and you're just playing maybe one minion a turn, then you can go for something like Curator into Tyrion, into Spike-Ridge Steed, into Tarim, into all that nonsense. But that's not really available at the moment for TingTing. It's going to have to be some really powerful draws from the top end of his deck if he wants to stay alive here.
He needs some big boys.
The biggest.
Something that Ben just did, I don't know whether it was just a mistake, whether it was on purpose, he pointed the silence at his face. Now, I always find interactions like this very interesting, because are you trying to convince your opponent you've got something else? For example, a greater healing potion in your deck. You're trying to scare them off and make them trade a little bit later rather than deal direct damage, for example. Maybe I'm reading into it a little bit too much, but...
Yeah, maybe. The thing is, if you're trying to make your opponent think you're thinking about casting something on your face, for 1 mana, there's literally nothing you could cast on your own face.
No, but he did it before he played.
Oh, right. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, he did it right at the start of his turn.
Yeah, maybe. Well, even then, you wouldn't cast Greater Healing Potion there. It's an interesting point, though. Maybe I think it's probably just a bit of indecision more than anything else.
Yeah, but why would you point a silence at your face? I don't know.
Shut up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was that Lich King thing, wasn't it? When the Lich King goes against the Priest, he silences you and you just can't emote.
Oh, really?
Have you not done it? Oh.
No, I'm not a role player.
To be fair, I haven't completed the Lich King challenge by defeating him with every class, but I did just do it with Priest.
I think I got annoyed that I couldn't defeat one of the bosses on the first try and I gave up. I'm a sulky boy.
Yeah, I can see that. So the Circle of Healing was actually really important, being picked up from the Shadow Visions, unsurprisingly. I mean, we could have discussed the other picks that he had, but I think it was a relatively straightforward one for Ben. Anything that clears the board and allows you to keep this advantage, allows you to slow down the aggressive Paladin, you're going to be in a good spot.
Awful draws. Kind of interesting from TingTing that he's putting in True Silver Champions and Rallying Blades. That kind of makes me think he might be leading towards Jambray's list with the Dread Corsairs and Patches in there, where you try and get as much weapon synergy as possible. But it's really not working out in this situation, and probably won't work out all that well against Priest at all, because you don't really need weapons to clear the board. You need threats to put on the board that they can't answer, because you really don't need to be answering what Priest is doing.
Wouldn't surprise me if he is using the kind of UK Paladin list, or whatever we call it, the one with the Dread Corsairs, because a lot of the UK players do. I don't know if it's just because we've memed it as the UK Paladin, or whether it's just a very successful deck.
It's kind of a sense of national identity.
Yeah, it's like pride, isn't it? Like national pride.
Almost like pride.
I'm going to do it for my country, for Queen and country.
I will put pirates in my deck.
Pirates are very necessary nowadays.
Really?
Don't you think? I mean, not in the real world.
Right. Oh, right. Sorry,
no.
Within Hearthstone. I thought we were still
no.
talking real world.
No,
yes, pirates in pretty much any aggressive deck, apart from Tempo Mage, are worth putting in. I agree.
So Ben clearly with the advantage here, and another True Silver Champion gets the French laugh out of Darok. Again, I've missed that. There it is.
Oh, très bien.
Another True Silver. It's unfortunate though for TingTing. As much as we can French laugh and talk about baguettes, you are slowly losing this first game.
Yeah, I think it's starting to become pretty rapidly losing as well. I kind of... It's like when you're having a fight with a partner or something and you want them to get angry, but they're just disappointed. Like TingTing here, he doesn't even seem upset that he's getting terrible draw after terrible draw. He's just disappointed. Like, why are you doing this to me, Hearthstone?
And Ben can just use the Master Spell there as well, just to kind of rub salt in the wounds a little bit more, because Master Spell is typically not really seen in your Priest decks. It's there.
It's floating about. Yeah.
But just saying, I'm going to win this game, so I'll show it to you anyway.
Yeah, why not?
I don't need to use my silence. Concede comes out from TingTing, and Ben goes 1-0 up here, and he will be very happy. One game closer towards the live finals. I need to find something better to call it than the live finals. Grand final sounds weird, right? Because it's not the grand finals. Because it goes into a bracket, right? And 8 players are... Is it 8 players? 8 players are invited.
The Uber Hearthstone Smash Kill Fightathon Supreme.
Ah, yes, the Uber Kill Hype Smash Tron Supreme. No. How far was I off? The Uber Kill
Hearthstone Kill Smash Fightathon
Supreme. There it is for you kids at home. That's where you can get, if you win one game today, in qualification week. I'm excited for the live finals for one reason and one reason only. This is the first time we're going to have 8 players rather than just 4 at the live final. So that's a lot more Hearthstone buddies gathering up and putting themselves to the test against the best in the West region of the world.
Western region, Western Hemisphere, yeah.
You got there in the end.
I think it's going to be a really, really good finals, even just with Detsy and Ball Control, very well-known players, and now as well Cold Hands joining them, kind of up-and-coming player looking to prove himself rather than a previous champion like Ball Control. There's a lot of different stories already floating around amongst the players who have made it, and with either of these 2 players making it through, I would be very, very happy.
You know what would also make me happy?
Qu'est-ce que ça?
Sorry, what?
What?
The players like Jambray, Green Sheep, Duncan still coming to finals to watch.
And pay their respects.
Pay their respects to themselves.
Throw eggs.
No!
Oh.
It's not Halloween anymore.
Well,
otherwise I'd be dressed as a woman again. That's going to be a yearly annual thing now. We must meet up and do that every single time.
Hearthstone or not, we'd be like...
Yeah. Oh, we got to dress as women again, Darrow.
You right, mate?
Yeah.
You got your bra again?
Yeah. Yeah, mate. Yeah, I do.
Of course I am.
You got your dress again?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah,
it's Halloween, isn't it? Of course I got my dress, you muffet.
All right, perfect. Here we go. Game number 2 then. And it's going to be Ben with the Warlock this time, the Zoolock. And TingTing is going to be moving over to his Druid.
I think it's going to be a big Druid as well, given that there's 2 Primordial Drakes in there. Could still be the Jade Druid. It's kind of in there, but yeah, with Earthen Scales as well, I think it's very, very likely to be a big Druid here, which is probably going to be suffering against the Zoo here, because it allows the Zoo to do whatever they want in the starting turns of the game, run away with the early game. and there is nothing the Druid can do about that. Flame Imp is the most important card here, outside of Keleseth, I suppose, to get the damage rolling early on. And with Coin into Blood Fury Potion to ramp up the amount of damage coming through, not even Swipe would be able to get rid of it anymore.
And this is... I mean, we knew that we were potentially going to see Big Druid. I remember actually 2 weeks ago, you came in and you said, I think we'll be seeing Big Druid this week. And we didn't. You were just 1 week ahead of yourself, Darok, because now we are starting to see Big Druid more often. And you know what? It's actually a genuine deck nowadays. So I'm not entirely surprised that it is here. But Ben, with the option, he's got that second Flame Imp available now. Does he just toss this one onto the board and do as much damage as possible? Does he coin out Blood Fury Potion and actually just try and jam damage that way? I don't think he will. I think we're more likely to see the Imp, or, well, both Imps here, I would have thought. Then you've got the follow-up next turn of using that Blood Fury on one of those. And what are the answers for TingTing? He's got his Jade Blossom. Yeah, okay, great. You can put a 1-1 on the board and you're going to gain some mana. That's going to be fantastic. But yes, we finally see emotes from BigBen playing Nessie as well. Like, that's the second time we've seen her today, so I'm actually very, very happy. I
mean, he knows he's high-rolling his opponent here. The only real way out here that I can see for TingTing, because there's no signs of slowing from BigBen at all, is to ramp, and try and go for, I don't know, Malfurion for taunt, Spreading Plague, maybe something like Medivh in combination with Earthen Scales, but there just isn't the time to do all that ramping, because on the following turn, Doomguard could come down with the coin, and that would just be an absurd amount of damage pushing through, and he wouldn't even be that weak to the Spreading Plague anymore, because all of his minions have such a high attack value.
So all TingTing can do is just try and ramp, as you said. I mean, there's not even an argument there for getting the 2-2 out either, because you're just so far behind now. Your only hope is being able to get to those high-end minions and hope that you can do something to stay alive. I mean, maybe you can get to Malfurion, you can gain some armor, you can do some stalling. Is there a Deathwing in this deck? I know there usually is in Jade Druid, in Big Druid, sorry. So maybe you can get to the point where you play Deathwing, slam that on the board, and there's no answers from the Warlock. But you were a little bit confused there, it would seem, by playing the Serenite Chain Gang.
Yeah, so it kind of felt like he was going into the play around Spreading Plague the most option, where he trades in the Flame Imp and then goes for the Doomguard with the coin. But the thing is, I think he might be being a little bit greedy here by trying to discard the coin. I mean, obviously that's one of the best cards you can discard because it's not really worth a whole card. I suppose Innovate is being played in the Big Druid, but it's significantly less substantial than the Bone Mare. But it was a bit greedy, but it's going to work out because he drew Soulfire off the top and the coin gives him lethal. So I take back everything I said, Ben. You are an absolute blooming god amongst men.
He's just all the like, I mean, when it happens like that,
I still think it was wrong, but goddamn, it was spectacular.
It was spectacular. And Ben, a very swift victory, going 2-0 up here. I mean, there was a possibility where TingTing could have played Malfurion there, gained some armor, he could have stalled, right?
I think that was his turn 6 that he was his last turn there.
Oh, okay,
so,
he ramped up again, but he was on 9 mana.
He went for Nourish for mana into Jade Blossoms.
So he couldn't even play Malfurion, so that was just a horrible, horrible game. And it's one of those matchups where you're buggered, really, aren't you? Let's be honest. You're in a situation where you just have to sit, watch it happen, and hope that your opponent makes a mistake, or hope that you draw something spectacular, but it just didn't happen.
Even with the best possible hand for a Big Druid, being double Flame Imp openings and with a Doomguard to top it all out, it's just very, very difficult to do. And so that is going, again, as I would expect. And I don't know, not even this aggressive lineup from BigBen, because it was the Kazakus Priest beforehand, but it's just another very, very quick 2-0 to get things going. And for BigBen, he's got the Druid left. If it's a Jade Druid, it's unfavored against the Big Druid. It's unfavored against the Paladin, and it's probably only slightly favored against the Kazakus Priest. Maybe not if you want to look at it as from the viewpoint of a good Kazakus Priest player. So it is far from over for TingTing, especially because even if he loses, he's got another shot next week.
It is that Jade Druid, though, not is that Jade Druid. I think I can see for myself. I was wondering for a second whether he might have been bringing like Aggro Druid or something, just judging by the rest of his lineup, but no, Ben doing what Ben does best. He sticks to the meta quite assertively. He knows what he wants to bring. He usually looks at what the best decks are, and he brings those 3 decks.
He does, and he concludes that the best deck is Big Druid as well. This is, you know, the Jade Blossom has found its way in because you just want, with the inclusion of Ultimate Infestation, every single ramp card you can possibly fit in your deck. And this is going to be a punish on the other side now, with TingTing losing with his big druid to the aggressive zoo. It's going to be probably a fairly similar thing here. Not quite as aggressive of a start from TingTing, and he's taking it a little bit slower by not going for Coin, Murloc, War Leader. But until he can get a weapon, it's actually not that astoundingly good of a starting hand, especially because BigBen is going to be ramping up into the Lich King and into Ultimate Infestation pretty rapidly with Jade Blossom and Maya Keeper.
I think I spoke too quickly when I said it was Jade Druid.
It's all right. It had Jade Blossom in it. That means it's a Jade Druid.
Yeah, but after we'd just seen Blummin' Big Druid, I just forgot the Blummin' deck existed. But you're completely right now. This is going to be really tough for Ben to be able to stick in. However, he does have ramping potential. If he can get there to his late game, he might have a little bit more time than what we saw in the previous game. So maybe he can stay alive, and maybe we can see this Big Druid doing Big Druid things. At least we are going to see a Big Druid victory today. That is guaranteed to happen. Someone has to win with it.
That is true. Big Druid shall have its day.
But it's been having its week. Couple of weeks, really, especially when it comes to ladder as well. It's been very popular.
Yeah.
I know some people question it, and they don't know if it's actually a thing, but it is there. It has the consistency now to actually be a real deck.
Yeah, I would say it definitely is, especially when you can ban away one of the biggest preyers or predators of this deck.
Preyers, predators, same thing.
You're a prayer or you're a preyee in this world is what I always say, as David Attenborough once said. Yeah, if you can ban away the rogue, which really does prey on the Big Druid a lot, you can be in such a good spot to just dominate the matchup against Jade Druid and against Kazakus Priest, because they just do not have the answers to turn 5, turn 6, Lich King Medivh, Deathwing Dragonlord, Ultimate Infestation, as well as all the other good stuff that is floating around in the deck. And we've decent removal options for the next few turns to bridge Ben through to his remaining powerful cards. It's actually looking pretty good for him, I would say.
And he's got tools now to get rid of a little bit of this board, and can follow up with Lich King, so there's potential here, right, Darryl? Is there a chance?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's looking pretty good for him. It has to be a weapon coming down fairly soon, especially with Primordial Drake. It's going to have to be a weapon pretty soon, and there is a weapon for TingTing. Obviously, it is the UK Paladin with Dread Corsair and True Silver Champions there, and now he can start piling on the pressure over the next few turns, heading into a Sunkeeper Tarim to hopefully buff up all this stuff that's being thrown down onto the board.
What has he got as a buff then? Just attack? Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
That is fantastic with Sunkeeper Tarim. He just needs to pray there's no kind of a 2 damage AoE to everything on his board.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fine.
Even then,
he's still going to have
it's not that
minions, right? He's going to have what, another 4 that are available? Does it work like that, or only 2 spawn? I can't remember with the board how the board works, but either way, he's going to have stuff left.
I think it'll be 4.
I think it is 4. If Primordial Drake is played here, we'll still have 4 1/1s that can then become 4 3/3s. If Ben does take that route, but I think it's too good not to, really. I say that.
Wow, going with the Lich King. Is Primordial Drake really going to get any better than that?
Well, Primordial Drake isn't going to get its value next turn, that's for sure. Because
absolutely.
Now all of these minions are going to be 3/3s.
He did high roll Doom Pack. That is pretty much exactly what you're looking for in this situation. You will be burning quite a lot of cards from your deck, but given that so much of your deck isn't actually the big stuff in the deck, it's Wrath, Swipe, and all the ramp cards and stuff, you're not too sad to see that go away. And even getting rid of a couple of big cards here, you've got plenty enough value to win the game anyway.
So TingTing can push, what, 3, 6, 9, 12 damage to face here, in conjunction with the Sunkeeper Tarim.
Maybe he won't even go for it, though, because if he's afraid of Deathwing basically clearing off his whole board, Sunkeeper Tarim is the only answer to that outside of, I don't know, stalling with Spikeridge Steed or something like that. And given that he's got the True Silver Champion able to attack in with patches and a couple of these minions, it's actually a pretty good push against the board and keeping the absolute trump card of Sunkeeper Tarim intact.
I mean, Deathwing can't even be played for another turn yet, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
So actually, TingTing just using the opportunity here to get more 3-3s.
I'm very glad he considered, though, took it nice and slow, because it was, it definitely looked like Sunkeeper Tarim was just a little bit too juicy to go for there. He will obviously be afraid of Doom Pact, and it is the only play here for BigBen, and it is devastatingly, game-winningly, qualifyingly powerful.
Now he will say a quick goodbye to all of those cards that are just being discarded here, but
he's getting rid of some real trash, though, which is pretty good for him, actually.
But now for TingTing, you've already got 2 damage on board. You've got your True Silver, that's going to be 6. You've got Dreadcrusher, which is going to pull out patches, that's going to be 7.
Wow, okay.
So, you say game winning, there is still very much a chance. Another True Silver as well being equipped. But now we are in Ultimate Infestation range.
Yeah. And even before that, like, Primordial Drake will do a very good job now that Sunkeeper Tarim is out of the way. There's basically nothing that can answer that exactly. This isn't a Hoi Paladin from back in the day which ran Deathwing as the dragon in the Curator package. You run Scalebanes in the Curator package now.
Ooh.
And Spreading Plague as well. I mean, pick your poison here. So many fantastic options.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so you Ultimate Infestation, you go up to 8, but you're still leaving 7 on the board.
Yeah.
Spreading Plague.
Right. We'll cross out UI.
Yeah. UI is not going to happen. Primordial Drake, get rid of 3 of those 1/1s. You just leave a 3/1 on the board. If there's any way of dealing with the 4/8, then you are dead. But I don't think there is any easy way for TingTing to be able to deal with this. Wow.
Being a bit of a tough nut here, isn't he? Bit of a roadman.
Ben going down to just 1. Man is not hot, as some might say. Is that what the kids say nowadays?
I think that is what the kids say. Well, when he goes into Malfurion, the Pestilent mode, he'll be Lich King, so then man will truly not be hot.
True. Yeah, he will not be. Ice cold. I was trying to think of anything that could allow TingTing to even push damage, but there isn't no consecrations being run in these Murloc Paladins anymore, so we are potentially seeing a 3-0 victory for Ben here. He's up to 6 armor. He can deal with everything that's on the board from TingTing.
Yeah, he's got some really nice cards here as well. I mean, he probably doesn't even want to go... Actually, yeah, he probably does want to go for the Innovate, because I was thinking on the following turn, if he picks up Innovate, he can go for Deathwing Dragonlord Innovate into the Earthen Scales, but obviously he can't get that if he's got a full hand. That's pretty much the best card that could be found for TingTing, but even then, Malfurion slows down the game so much with the taunts in the way, and then you can just start getting 3 tanking up every single turn, and it's looking more and more like Ben's going to qualify.
Yeah, and that'll be such a shame for TingTing as well, not even really getting a chance to compete in this series. It's been such a blowout, so quick from Ben. He's really chose the perfect lineup, and it's worked so well, and there is even more armor gain. If Malfurion wasn't enough, now you can put a 7/7 on the board first, then gain some armor. And wow, what
is what you meant when you said there's more armor gain.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I mean, it's an option of
it
more
is an
armor
option.
gain.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
He didn't need to put the 7/7 on the board realistically. He could have just played Malfurion and then next turn played Kuhn and got 10 armor, right? If he was really worried. But you like how I dodged it, right? I
Very
just
nicely
quite
dodged, like
quickly,
Neo.
A little bit like Neo, yeah. I describe myself as more of a Morpheus, if I'm honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Rather than a Neo. I think I'm more of like offering people the blue or the red pill.
Right,
rather than
yeah.
taking the blue or the red pill.
I think I'm very depressingly the rubbish one who like eats steak.
Yeah, you're that guy.
Yeah.
You are 100% that guy.
I know. Bit sad.
And
but to be fair, like, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
like,
you'd want the steak.
You'd want the steak and the woman in the red dress.
It's good to live in the Matrix, but someone who isn't living in the Matrix is BigBen. He's very much living in the real world right now, and the realism is he will be heading to those live finals. Look at that hand. Yes, okay, there's a Tyrion on the board, but there's so many answers. You can do pretty much anything you like here. You can, trade in, you can play Spreading Play just to get a taunt in the way, you can use Wrath to get rid of stuff.
That's what I'm looking at, yeah. You attack in, you attack in, Plague, Wrath for 1, kill off the Scalebane with the Coon, and then, I don't know, kill off the Murloc as well. Why not? Just to make sure there's a clear board and no
Bone
Mega
Mare
Sword.
situation.
Yeah, Bone Mare, that's a good point. No nonsense like that can occur.
And no nonsense is a good way to describe Ben as a player, to be honest. That's why he was so successful. Well, he's been so successful this season, why he was successful previously. And I'm excited to see what he can do at live finals. Is he going to be able to go all the way this time? That will remain to be seen.
I think it's going to be tough for him at the live finals because it seems to me he's taking a very similar approach to ball control, where he is bringing the best decks and saying, I'm good enough to be able to beat my opponent even if they bring the same stuff. But ball control is currently sitting at rank 1. He's doing basically nothing but playing Hearthstone all day at the moment. He's putting in the hours. And I think if they're going for the same strategy, Ben might have met his match in ball control.
Yeah, and I think Ben works as well. So he's only playing Hearthstone when the clock strikes, what, 6 or 7 when he gets back. And then he plays his Hearthstone. Whereas I think ball control at the moment is going full-time, streaming
every day,
playing.
Yeah. A great stream to watch as well.
It is very hard to compete in any esport, not just Hearthstone, against players who are doing it full-time when you are just doing it part-time. And I don't know if that is true. Ben might be doing it full-time as well now. He's definitely good enough to do it full-time. He can certainly win those cups that get a little bit of extra cash dollar in your back pocket just playing every evening. And certainly he will be rubbing his hands together to try and get a little bit of money from the ESL Premiership as well, as he is cruising through with a 3-0 victory. There's been 2 pretty quick series that we've seen already today, Darok. It makes me slightly sad because it means less time with you.
Aww.
However, Ben will be happy.
Ben will be a very happy boy as well. You couldn't tell it from his picture there.
No, he doesn't know what he is in that picture. Am I sad? Am I happy?
Am I human?
Yeah.
Or am I dancer?
Yes. You get it just because I was going to say it.
I know, yeah. I could see you gearing up for it.
All right, Ben, finish him off. Send TingTing down to 2-2. And then TingTing has to hope next week he can get that victory and qualify for the finals. Now, I'm trying to think whether there's a way someone with 2-3 can qualify. I'm trying to think of how many players can actually finish at 3-2. I will have a look later at the table and see how that evens out. So don't worry about it now. I wish I hadn't have said it. But yeah, Ben's just finishing this one off, and TingTing should really concede. But when you're 3-0 down, when you're 2-0 down, I guess you wait to every last draw, right?
Who knows? I mean, we don't know his date. Maybe there's a yoga or a death wing or something silly in there.
Yeah, maybe.
There isn't, but there might be.
Sadly, the pattern emerging is, I was going to say nowhere.